Imagine, if you will, you're at your desk trying to find a game to play on your brand new Valve Index. You've scrolled through hundreds of games, a lot of them bizarre sex simulators, and finally something sticks out. An anime cooking game. It's actually so niche that in making this video, I cannot find it scrolling through Steam's VR section again. And let me tell you, I scrolled through a lot of games trying to find it on the Steam store that first time. Really, I believe this begs one ultimate question. It all started when I found the gravity slider a little ways into the game. It could be turned off. Chat and I knew exactly what needed to happen. For added difficulty, we also decided that I would only use my left arm. We were incredibly excited to try out this incredibly bizarre game, and so we began with the Denver omelet recipe. I began the level by letting my controller dangle in order to not be tempted into using my right arm. Time to begin. I opened the door to my classmate, waking me up for class. Oatly was the first friend I made here at Puppy Chef Academy. By the way, yes, that is the name of the game. Oatly begins by giving you the Skyrim intro before you two make your way to your first class, where I wanted nothing more than to just gloss over the story and begin cooking. Our first task involved bell peppers. I had to cut them apparently, and I would say went surprisingly smooth. The peppers floated away in what would only for a moment be a comical fashion, as this world's lack of gravity for the first time displayed itself to me. Up next, we had to break the eggs and mix together the omelet's base, or at least that's what I assumed. However, I quickly noticed that no gravity also meant that any object collision, including the default spawn state of the many cooking materials, resulted in everything beginning to fly around the room. And I believe it important to note, I was permanently stuck behind this counter. Some greater puppy chef kept me locked here, enslaved to cook for a teacher and classmate until I produced the correct dish. Yes, that is singular by the way. Oatly does appear as the only classmate we have throughout the rest of this game. We fly through the rest of the recipe, quickly adding the omelet mixture to the pan in a trance-like state. Much of the mixture was lost due to it pouring sideways instead of down, due to our lack of gravity, and we ended up safely storing our omelet later while more exposition to the story occurred. We quickly then finished the rest of the recipe and made our way to final scoring. I'd like to note the way that I plated it and the way that it was served were definitely different. As you can see here, they actually plated it correctly, whereas I was just trying to keep everything from flying into the cosmos. Now at this point you have a good idea of how each of the processes went for making the meals, but that brings us back to our initial question. What the hell is going on? To make a long story short, we're a cat at a culinary school for dogs. We don't speak dog, so we don't talk, and we need to help Oatly learn to cook. A huge shout out to the 45th page of free VR games on Steam. Now, while most of the meals went off without a hitch, there were others that I was not so lucky with. When I say lasagna, what do you think of? A nondescript orange cat who hates Mondays? A pair of Italian plumbers? Maybe you went more literal. Maybe you thought of a delicious pasta and red sauce combo that could feed a family of 4. Now, all of these options are equally valid, but there's something about lasagna you may never have thought of before. To grate fresh cheese, you need 2 hands, and, well, I am only allowed 1. And so, this began what I would later only realize was a 45-minute segment where I struggled against all odds to add Parmesan and garlic to a pasta dish. I tried everything, and while smashing the grater down on the garlic was efficient after multiple minutes, the Parmesan was a completely different story. One might think a similar method might work for the Parmesan as the garlic, but in fact, it did not. I attempted to grate the Parmesan inside the lasagna first in order to hopefully count the hitboxes colliding as adding cheese to the dish, to absolutely no success. After a few minutes, my strategy was forced to rapidly change, instead attempting to grate enough Parmesan to coat the entire room in a snow of cheese. Now, while this endeavor of creating a fake winter morning proved successful, and trust me, it is much more dense than what the recording picked up, not enough cheese was entering the lasagna tray. So I moved on to the next phase of my plan, beginning with recentering my tray.
I can't grab it. I can't. Are you regretting your life choices yet, clone? Yes. Yes, I am.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces.
Is this what you all signed up for? Is this what you wanted? You happy? One-year anniversary of starting my streaming is spent playing Puppy Chef Academy, attempting to shoot Parmesan bits across the room onto a lasagna with only my left hand. There is no God, only gravity. Except not even that's real at the moment.
My sanity was gone. However, we got lucky and the lasagna decided to reappear on the table a while after it's made its way across the room.
Oh! Oh! Trick shot! Come back to us! Come back, lasagna! Guys!
Oh no, is it gonna bounce? Okay. I think we it's back! It's back! Oh, praise the sun!
Now, I did lose quite a bit of time on this. Luckily, this wasn't some sort of speed run. And eventually, I did grate enough cheese to move on to the other dishes, which passed with much less interest. However, the following dishes pivoted away from pain felt by trying to make them one-handed towards pain felt by, like, actual story beats that started to come up. And I know if you thought there wasn't a story in Puppy Chef Academy, we had the same thoughts going into it. But at this point, I started paying more and more attention to it, and I was shocked, for lack of a better word. To get into a small little update of where we are, Oatly is completely unable to cook. Her lack of skill causes her to ruin every dish, and at first, this was like subject to some funny jokes between our teacher and Oatly, and eventually, it became more and more and more serious, where we had times where Oatly considered dropping out of the academy entirely, and even a rather emotional scene where she breaks down to the character and basically goes into a discussion about how she'll never be able to achieve her dreams. Now, to call this jarring would be the biggest understatement I have put in this entire video. Not because it was out of place or because of the, there were issues with the way it was told, because out of nowhere, I was feeling sudden emotion for a random anthropomorphic, like, dog character who wanted to cook in a what I thought questionable quality cooking game I got for free on page 52 of the Steam store. This leads back to an earlier question we had. I won't actually go too into the story of this game because I highly recommend you check it out yourself. It's free, and due to the increase in people having VR thanks to the debut of the Oculus 2, I think it's a perfect experience to try out. Needless to say, I was surprised. As we completed the last few recipes available to us doing our challenge, I felt more and more compelled to play the game normally. We didn't, obviously, and eventually we did get through the game. But as the story continued on and the characters revealed more about their pasts and what drove them, I realized this wasn't a joke. This wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be originally. It ended up being much more serious. My final review of the game would be that it actually shocked me at what I thought was a decent amount of character development put into a shitpost. And I give it a solid 7 out of 10 in terms of enjoyment. For a free game, again, it really surprised me, and I think my only big issue with it was a lack of penguins. Anyways, thanks for listening, sticking it out to the end. You can always catch us live on Twitch. I'll have the link down in the description. Now, go down and press all the buttons for Spencer. I'm not asking. I would never. That'd be cringe. But Spencer, he really wants you to. And, like, how can you deny a cute face like this? Anyways, take care. Thanks for listening. And I hope to catch you again soon.